Hello viewers, I'm Simon Preston and this is Reggae Boys Commentary, the Google Hangouts version of it, and I'm pleased to have as a guest today our Caribbean correspondent and the member of Home of Caribbean Football, Nathan Carr. Nathan, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very good, Simon. Thank you for having me on.
And it's a pleasure.
About, all things Caribbean football.
Yeah, it's amazing that after all these years of connection and knowing each other, we've been able to get out this information in the video sort of vlog format. So it's a pleasure to have you on, man.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Right, so today we just wanted to go through briefly about the Caribbean 11 that you have in mind. You mind discussing briefly about how you were able to get the 11 together? Was it just your analysis from it, or you got some help from other sources around the region to get to this 11, you could say?
Yeah, so it was just sort of a speculative idea, and what I did was sort of have my own opinion on who I thought would be, worthy enough to make the 11, and then obviously asked people like yourself and different fans and journalists that could contribute and send me their best 11 in line with the criteria that I made up, which is basically just you had to play for a Caribbean country or a Caribbean club. I thought just to make it fair, otherwise if we're having Edgar Davids and John Barnes and Clarence Seedorf, it's going to be a little bit unfair and a bit unrealistic maybe. So yeah, and that was it really, and then just went through all the players from over the years, just tried to make it as diverse and talented as possible, and then I came up with the end product of an all-time 11 in a 4-4-2. Obviously there's always going to be some people that are critical like with anything, but I do want to stress it's only opinion. It's merely opinion. It's not set in stone or definitive.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different opinions, and that's a part of football as well. You know, once you do it in a logical manner, then I guess that separates the top analysts from not. But a very interesting 11 that you have together, players who played during or born in the 20s to players born in the 1990s as well. So quite a diverse list, you could say. And I can tell you recently in Jamaica as well on radio, KLAS Sports Radio, they were discussing it about why Luton Shelton was possibly not in it as well. So that was a big major discussion.
My 11.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So in Antigua and Jamaica, it's been discussed.
Oh, that's okay. That's a bit weird. I didn't actually mean it to. Well, it's great that it's being talked about, but I knew that I've been told that Antiguan radio were talking about it. I didn't know that Jamaican had been talking about it as well. But yeah, I mean, that's great. You know, that's what it was aimed to do, just encourage a bit of debate. Luton Shelton, yeah, all-time leading Jamaican goal scorer. I understand that, you know, he's an icon in Jamaica, but I just thought that Dwight York, for the success that he had at Manchester United, and Clyde Best for the way in which he fought against racism in the 60s and 70s and 80s, I just thought that was perhaps warranted, more recognition.
Right. Yeah, it's quite a logical response that you gave there as well, yeah. Because if you look at the players, the challenges they had, especially in football and especially in England at the time, which was not as civilized as it is today in terms of football, as you know, hooliganism during that period of time, especially with the fans and how they view players. So you could say that football in the times, it was a difficult time for them, especially there's a Manchester City player from Bermuda as well, Sean Gota. He also faced some stick as well at Manchester City.
Yeah, that's true. I think it was perhaps a little bit worse when Best was playing West Ham, but I mean, we still get elements of hooliganism in English football, in British football. I think there's been a lot of good work, sort of stamp that out. But Best, yeah, I think he had a banana skin thrown at him, just terrible, awful things. But he replied like any great footballer does with goals and great performances. So yeah, I mean, it was. I think in Best's case though, he didn't really push on to the heights that he really could have done. I mean, at West Ham, he scored a lot of goals, but I think it was 45 altogether. But then he went on to play in the USA and indoor soccer, and I just thought he could have maybe really sort of made a name for himself even more in the English top flight. And then Sean Gota, I remember him saying when he joined Rotherham, which I think he made over 100 appearances for them. He said that the sun doesn't shine here, and I don't think it's for me. But he managed to make that transition, and then he's still a legend at Man City. And it's actually quite remarkable. I mean, you look at Bermuda's population; it's around 60,000, and they produce go to Kyle Lightbourne as well, Naki Wells at Huddersfield. So, good conveyor belt of talent, Bermuda.
Yeah, to me, I think they're one of the sleeping giants of the Caribbean, to be honest with you. I think with the quality that they have, I just think if they get together more, then they could be competing for Caribbean Cup titles in the future. One of those teams that I've always, wouldn't necessarily say fair, but I'm a bit anxious to play against, especially Guyana, we have in the World Cup qualifiers. We've never scored against Guyana in the opening 40 minutes of a match. They always try to stagnate us in the opening portions, but we have them in the Caribbean Cup, and we also have Suriname as well. So that should be an interesting encounter as well. How do you see round 3 action going out as well? Do you have any other predictions as well for that?
Well, my predictions for the last round weren't terrific on the whole. Predicting St. Vincent and the Grenadines to go through and Dominican Republic not to. But no, I'm really looking forward to round 3. I think there's some good groups. For me, the main sort of standout group is Curacao, Antigua, Barbuda, and Puerto Rico, because obviously we know, as you said you've articulated it so well on your channel, that none of those countries have gone to the Gold Cup before, so we've got history awaiting there. In terms of Jamaica, I think that obviously they'll be favourites, given their footballing history and the talent in their squad. They'll be favourites to top the group. I'm quite surprised that Suriname have actually reached this far. So I think you should be able to get past them. And then Guyana, it sort of depends with Guyana whether they'll sort of maximise their squad, because I think for the last round they didn't call up people like Matthew Briggs and Neil Dans. And if they can boost their squad with some of the UK-born players, then they're a very good team. So. I think Jamaica, though, they should clinch that first spot. I really do. And I think, there'll be inquests, won't there, from Jamaican fans if that doesn't happen.
Right. Based on what you've seen thus far, well, before moving into that, it's right as well, because we didn't qualify for the 2007 edition of the Gold Cup and the 2013, and the fans were getting a lot of stick, especially the federation as well, as this is a tournament that helps to generate our revenue as well, and with the huge debt that we have, it helps be some sort of a stopgap, you could say. So these sort of mini tournaments along the way are crucial for us. And if we're able to miss out on this, it's going to be detrimental for football, because who knows if that could be the salary to pay our head coach as well, because as you know, things in World Cup qualifying right now, they're quite sticky. Fate is not in our own hands again. Even if we win our last 2 games, we have to depend on a result. So it's critical times for Jamaica, you could say, at this point in time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on the Gold Cup, they had a brilliant last Gold Cup, didn't they, when they reached the final? The first Caribbean nation to do that. But for me, Jamaica, they've just been too inconsistent. They've just fluctuated far too much. I mean, having that great debut Copper campaign, I know they lost every game, but, gave good account of themselves. And then they reached the final of the Gold Cup. They beat the USA, as you know, in the semi-finals. And you're thinking, cool, blimey, they're really testing the CONCACAF status quo, and then they go and sort of dip in World Cup qualifying, with quite a narrow win over Haiti, and they lose to Panama. And before that, they'd only just got past Nicaragua. Remember that, when it was looking like they might even advance to the penultimate round. And now they've got some huge games coming up in September, and then the Caribbean Cup, of course. So I think there's a little bit more pressure now on Schaefer after the recent Copper 100 as well, because of the manner in which the team lost. But goals is just a huge problem, isn't it? They can't put the ball in the back of the net. So I don't know if the Jamaican FA, I'm sure they are, they're looking at addressing that problem. Whether that be a player on the fringes that's going to come in and sort it out, or if that's going to be a newcomer like maybe a Dwight Gale or a Lewis Grabban or Troy Deeney, something like that. Who knows? But I think defensively they've shown that they're quite resolute. It's just offensively where they need to improve, Jamaica. And obviously qualifying for Gold Cup after Gold Cup, that's important not only in a football sense but in a financial sense as well.
Of course, yeah. But I can tell you though, since before you and I were born, this goal scoring issue has been a huge problem. I mean, it was in the early 90s that you could say this problem started to start. We usually played with a 3-5-2 sort of system, and that was flourishing goals. 1993 Gold Cup, finished 3rd. Then after that, when it came to Renison Moores, he mixed it up a bit, and then you saw the goals start to dry up a bit. Qualifying to the World Cup, we only scored 7 goals in 10 matches, but we kept clean sheets, so that was important there. So, of course, clean sheets, good defenses on the day can help you get the results you need. But, of course, goals is what you need. What I would like to ask you is, would you say that Cuba has been the biggest shock of this Caribbean Cup, being eliminated?
Yeah, I was very surprised. Getting eliminated at the first round with what was it now? It was against French Guiana and Bermuda, wasn't it? And to get beaten 3-0 as well by French Guiana. Yeah. I remember reading a piece. There's a guy called, I think, Mario Lara, who does the Football Cubano.net website, and he was just like an absolute, he was just criticising the Cuban football so much after that defeat, and he was referencing that French Guiana were non-FIFA and they couldn't even get past them. But I think what doesn't help Cuban football is a lot of the players feel like there's no real, there's a glass ceiling effect where the best guys have to defect in order to pursue a professional career in football.
Yeah.
There's so many examples, isn't there? Ariel Martinez is the latest one, and then you've got Osvaldo Alonso, who's probably the best example. Yeah. But they have to defect, and such is the strict communist regime there that I think it holds back the football team. But they're constantly sort of punched above their weight, Cuba, I think. But for them to get eliminated at such an early stage, and then to get eliminated from the World Cup qualifiers as well at the second stage, Curacao. Clearly, there's some work to be done there. But interestingly on Cuba, I don't know if you saw yesterday, they announced a friendly with the USA. Don't know if you saw that. But that's for the first time, I think, since 1947 that they're going to host the USA in an international football friendly. So,
in a friendly,
so we'll just a friendly to sort of continue that reconciliation process between the two countries. So we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, sometimes you have to take a step back before you can go forward in football, and I think it's critical on this point. And I think if they put in the hard work, they can be a force to be reckoned with in the Caribbean. But let's not forget the other nations as well. It's been a similar pattern for the number of teams that have not been able to register for these tournaments as well. Funding an issue. The Cayman Islands, we didn't see them in this edition. Bahamas as well. Some of the French department on, I think, St. Martin as well. So it's been a challenge for these countries, and we do ultimately want to see a tournament where we have all 35 CONCACAF Caribbean teams, CFU teams, you could say. That's my ultimate aim in the future. I'd love to see an edition like that. They bring a different dimension to the tournament.
Definitely, yeah. I think if you're a member, then you should try and participate in as many tournaments as possible. In the Cayman Islands case, they're on emergency funding, I'm told, at the moment, because they're suffering a lot from the post-Jeffrey Webb episode, if we can call it that. So their FA is in turmoil, really, still. So they've got a couple of youth teams. I think they're under 20 and under 17 qualifying, but the senior team is a bit of hiatus at the moment. But I've been saying it, since day one. I'm sure everyone else has that these smaller islands that I understand that finances might be hard, but you've really got to try and maximise your playing time, because that will ultimately build cohesion. It will build confidence. So the Bahamas, Montserrat, Anguilla, they all need to just play in as many tournaments as possible. And the other day I created a document and I listed all the possible tournaments that are available to various teams, like the ABCS tournament and the Central American Caribbean Games, all the different ones. Yeah. And if you look at the history, a lot of them just don't enter, and a lot of the time it is because of financial reasons. So that's where obviously the FIFA money and the CONCACAF money comes in, and that's why it's so important to use that money wisely, and not waste it, because a lot of that money down the years has just been wasted. For various reasons that we won't go into.
But couldn't a suggestion be like for the British overseas territories, the Cayman Islands, the Bermuda, the Montserrat, Anguilla, that they could approach the English government in order to get help, because they're still a territory, you could say. They don't have their independence, so it's an option for them to pursue.
Do you mean in terms of like player recruitment or
not play, but I would say more funding to be able to play in these tournaments?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure that the British government would listen to that and maybe consider it. But the thing is, FIFA provides so much money. It's just firstly, there's so much money sloshing around in world football anyway. Obviously, we know FIFA is essentially just a multi-millionaire business.
Yeah.
But if you look at the financial assistance program, which came into play in the late 90s, every MA gets, what is it, 250,000 US dollars a year. So where is this money going? Where is it going? That's what I want to know. So British Virgin Islands, I mean, they're getting enough money, and it's great that they're spending it on coaching initiatives and building new centres of excellence. But the primary focus for me, obviously, yes, youth development's important, but you do need to work on your senior team, and it's so important because if you miss the Caribbean Cup, like the Bahamas have done, you've got to wait another sort of 2 or 3 years before competitive action comes your way again. If you look at the Bahamas now, when's the next time their senior team's going to play competitively? It's going to be what, 2019, is it?
Yeah, about that.
World Cup qualifiers to 2022. I mean, that's a long time. How are you supposed to build any rhythm, any momentum, any impetus with such a long hiatus from playing football? So yeah. But back to your initial point about British governments helping. Yeah, possibly. I also think there's maybe some scope for a British overseas territories tournament. So you could just specifically have that, and maybe hosts could change each year. Maybe it'd be on a yearly basis or a biennial basis.
Yeah, and there's this other tournament as well called the Island Games. So all the islands that haven't got their independences yet, they participated, like the likes of Greenland and Bermuda and Cayman. They participate in that sort of footballing tournament. So it's another option there.
Definitely, yeah. And Bermuda won, I think, didn't they, in 2015 in the Island Games?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were the host. Yeah.
Host. So yeah, again, the competition there isn't going to be as fierce, is it? Let's face it. But again, it's a good opportunity to blood some youngsters to get some experience. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind sending a document to you if you want. I mean, it's just, I'm sure you know all the tournaments already. It's just a list. And if I was a technical director at an FA or a manager, I would be looking at all the possible tournaments that I can play in, and I'd be looking at continuity. So right, I'll have my under-17s playing that. I'll have my under-20s playing that. My under-23s, then we'll work on the Olympic qualifiers and go up. And especially if you're a small country, then obviously working from youth level up is so important. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and finally, before we wrap up, Nathan, can you tell me if there's going to be any great effect of Brexit, you could say, on Caribbean players in England now?
Oof,
it's a tough one, isn't it?
I'm not sure exactly on Caribbean players. As far as I'm aware, if a Caribbean footballer wants to move to an English club, and this was before Brexit, didn't they have to play for a country that was in the top 50?
Right, or you play 70%.
Work permit.
Yeah, or you play 70% of the games. Yeah.
Is that okay? So that's another strand to it, because I know Rodolph Austin, he couldn't get a move to Sheffield Wednesday, could he?
That's right. Yeah.
Because the work permit issues. I did see an article on ESPN FC about the Brexit effect on players moving, not just Caribbean players, but players all over the world moving to England. I'm not too sure on that, though. I'm not too sure. And this is where I suppose I can fit in the Caribbean Pro League idea. And if we had a Caribbean Pro League, then there'd be more emphasis on developing homegrown players that can earn a living at home instead of having to try and get off island as soon as they can. But no, I'm not too sure. And it's been all Brexit here in the UK, so yeah, it's sort of good to it's good sometimes just take the spotlight off it and then talk a bit about other things, I guess.
I understand, but Nathan, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. We're definitely going to have you back on the program in the future, as well as others. So we thank you, appreciate your time, and then keep up the good work you've been doing with the Home of Caribbean Football as well, keeping everyone incited on all the latest action, not only in the English-based players as well, but other players as well. Seen some action as well of some players with roots from French and Dutch island as well. Tahith Chong from the Curacao at Manchester United as well. Great piece that he did on that as well. So thanks very much, and we'll definitely be in touch.
No, keep up the great work with Reggae Boys commentary as well. Cheers, Simon.
All right, then, take care.